Good morning, it's Jonathan Barratt with the week ahead report for October the 11th, and the current time is 8 o'clock. Looks like it's going to be quite an interesting week, lots on obviously, and we've got quite a bit of data to get through as well. Also, last Friday had some really interesting data out of the States, unemployment, so that a little bit of fun. Also some quite wild moves in some of the grains. Unemployment data in itself suggested that we're looking for more stimulus packages out of the States. And as a result of that, we saw quite a volatile night in the dollar and also in some of the metals, gold in particular. Let's have a quick overview of what happened Friday night. And the Dow was up 57 points, which was quite good. And the S&P was up 7. The Nasdaq up 18. Europe was pretty mixed. The top 50 there was down 145. The FTSE was down 4.5. CAC was down 7. The DAX was up 15. And the DAX was up at 15, as we mentioned. Closer to home, our local market on the futures had a positive night. It was up 22, 4,717. And let's see really if it can break through that level. You can see by some of the charts that that could be quite an interesting break for a little bit of positiveness towards the equity markets, particularly over the next week or so. But we'll really have to see what unfolds there. But it does look a little bit better bid across the board. Okay, let's now have a look at a few things. I'll just grab this now and grab that, move that up there to make it all nice and easy for everyone to be able to see it. Okay, there we go, just coming through now. Okay, as always, let's go through some of the main movers and shakers. I think the dollar index is probably the key here of what's happening. Oops, let's just grab that up there. And as you can see, that dollar index there, quite interesting. A bit of volatility over the night, but let's see how it actually does trade. We've got that trend line which we've drawn in, and the market tried a few times to get through it but couldn't. So a break of 78.20 in my mind suggests dollar to go a little bit of bid. But as you can see, when going through some of the currencies, particularly the Aussie, for instance, quite a reversal from that low here, very aggressive here. 99 is obviously a key, and she opened up New Zealand quite well bid, so quite good, interesting there. 99.10, obviously the parity party's on, so let's see what happens on that front. Interesting, have a looking at the euro. As you can see, it seems to be the dollar is trading against all the pairs quite nicely, and looking for a little bit of a break there, euro firm. Dollar yen, where the dollar is always just the weakest, and as you can see, even without intervention, it really does seems to be a bit of a grind. Okay, let's now have a look at some of the others, gold in particular. Gold in itself, quite an aggressive move from those lows. Obviously a breakthrough 1360 is a bit of a key for us on the top side. Let's just see the market trade within those ranges, and I probably expect it to at the moment, because we've got some very important inflation data out this week, so and that'll culminate on Friday night again. Okay, there's crude. Crude's just showing that it's stuck in a range, and that's what it is. Looks to be that there's more stimulus news. When there's more stimulus out there, then crude gets a bit of a lift, and the market seems to really not want to look at what's happening on the fundamentals and supply at the moment. It's all about stimulus, and I think that's what the market is really aiming at the moment. Okay, so that's that. That's crude. Copper, just what we've always been looking at, primary input, and that's the reason we like to look at copper all the time. And as you can probably no doubt suspect, if we did get some stimulus, we'll get a rise there, and that's of course what we did. Everyone knows I've been on copper for a while, and we're just looking to see whether or not we get that breakout to the top side. Still think that's a good recovery trade. Okay, now this is where the moving and shaking also occurred in the grains. Just have a look at this wheat price. Last night USDA released some data which wasn't market, let's put it this way, it was volatile. There we are, there's that gap. Came out for most of the session up 60 cents. And that's a massive move. Haven't seen moves like that for a very long time. And that in itself dragged up the rest of the complex. And you can see corn as well had a quite aggressive move to the top side. So there we go. That's that move there. and that's all on the back of the USDA report, where it just came up there and stopped because that was the limit, and that's when the market does take just a little bit of a rest. But let's see what unfolds there. Having a look at soybeans as well, same sort of scenario there, 11.35, and obviously looking quite well bid. That's where it stopped up here. So there's quite a little bit of action at the moment in the greens, and the question is whether or not it's going to continue or not. But given the size and scope of that USDA report, probably expect that we're going to see a little bit more of it. Cotton itself also lifted, and yeah, look, quite interesting moves, I think. Just have a look at that cotton there, and you'll be able to see. There we go. The whole complexes are all looking quite well bid at the moment. Okay, now let's we've had a look at that. Let's just try that. There we go. And there we go. And let's have a look at now what's due out. And obviously let's start on Monday. And I guess the most important thing, not a lot out in Australia this week, so that's going to be quite mixed. But what we do have, obviously Tuesday is probably the main bits of events here. NAB consumer confidence for Australia, and we've got US, apart from a little bit of data in Europe, CPI in the UK, which is going to be really important, and also we've got in the US minutes of FOMC meeting, which I think will be quite interesting. Perhaps gives a little bit of a lead as to what we're actually thinking there in terms of interest rates. Well, not interest rates, because interest rates won't be moving lower. It'll be more quantitative easing. And as a result of that, yeah, we've seen that weakness in the dollar, or that debasing, to continue. Okay, Wednesday, consumer confidence, Westpac out of the States, some more inflation data out of Europe. Eurozone industrial production, I think, will be quite good. And we've got NBA mortgage applications in the States. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. Thursday, just in the US, obviously preliminary before we get the CPI on Friday, we do get that PPI. PPI, there it is there. Expect a little bit down from last month. Things expect to be a little bit slower, but also very important there. This whole week is all about inflation and the lack of it. So I think anything related to home sales, things like that will be very widely watched. Initial jobless claims as well in the States. And on Friday, got the most important data on Friday. Friday data there is obviously the big numbers in the States, or in Japan we've got IP and capacity utilisation, but a bit of trade balance in Europe, Eurozone CPI, which is then followed up by CPI in the States. So we'll see what happens there, and advanced retail sales and empire manufacturing. So quite a lot of data out, quite a little bit of data out this week. Most important is obviously has to do with the inflation. And I think that's an inflation there. It's the one which we've really got to have a good look at. And I think to me that's going to be a key. We've had a lot of news, a lot of upset, I guess, in terms of economic performances, and as a result of that, the Fed always talking about stimulus. So I think that will continue. I think the trends are there at the moment. I am a little bit concerned about the rally in the softs as a result of some form of inflationary pressure down the track. Let's see what happens on that front, because they have been very wild moves, there's no doubt about it. And that could provide a little bit of inflation, but it won't be in this set of numbers. It'll be the next set of numbers, and probably the next after that. So, which could be interesting, because it might give the Fed a little bit of a swing around in terms of sentiment towards what's happening with interest rates in the States, and also stimulus across the board. So but that's a bit. That's all from me for the week ahead report. I hope everyone has a good, healthy week, and should be lots of fun, obviously, with how the markets are going to trade, particularly those grains. So let's keep an eye on it. But that's about it from me. Hope everyone has a great day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye for now.